Feliz Navidad.
Ah.
Feliz Navidad. Da-na-na-na-na. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad.
Yeah.
Welcome. That was racist. Welcome back to
I hate you.
Welcome back to BuzzBox. I'm Bert.
I'm Clay.
Happy holidays.
At least it wasn't Dominic the Donkey.
That's true. That's true. Or anything from Dumbo.
What?
What?
Dominic the Donkey is
Dominic?
a Christmas song. He's the Italian Christmas donkey. Have you not heard that song?
No. I just agreed. Like I knew what you were talking about.
Jiggity jig, hee haw, hee haw.
Oh, that
Yeah,
song.
yeah.
Okay, yes, I do know that song. Happy holidays. Let me back off my mic a little bit. Sorry. Or if you don't celebrate any of the holidays that
Happy Honda days.
that are currently going on, I hope you had a good weekend.
Merry Chrysler.
Merry Chrysler. Happy Honda days. Go out and get some Hondas. We're back for the week that was leading up to the short Christmas break for the NHL season, which was week 11. There have not been any games the last 3 or 4 days. I think Friday's set.
It was a 3-day break, the 24th, 25th, and 26th. Their games will be starting
the 27th.
27th, yes.
Yes.
So
Tuesday, which at the time of this recording is tomorrow. And the time of you listening to it is today. So there you go. You're welcome. We talked to the NHL.
Yeah,
we got it set
got
up that
it,
way.
yeah.
You're welcome, guys. You're welcome. Anyway, there was also, just in case you guys didn't know, starting I believe on the 19th was a roster freeze. Not that anything really happened.
Well,
there was a
know
few
that.
minor trades that happened. Nothing we're going to talk about. But yeah, there's a roster freeze leading up to the holidays. I believe in just until after Christmas. But it's the NHL being like, hey, don't be dicks to your players.
On
Let
Christmas,
them
yeah.
spend time with their families and not moving.
Right.
Which I always think is really funny. But before we get to any of the NHL action, what are we drinking, Clay?
We are drinking a Connecticut local brew, Stony Creek Brewery.
Stony
out
Creek?
of, I don't freaking know.
Out of Ohio, weirdly enough. Ohio, Connecticut.
In Stratford, Connecticut.
Stratford.
This is their Cranky IPA.
Has a bird on it.
All their stuff has herons on it.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess that makes sense. There's a lot of herons around here.
So Stone Creek are the herring beer.
They like their waterfowl over there.
As do I. Oh, that's citrusy.
That's IPA. Do you want me to go first, or should you go first?
I think I went first last time, so you're
right. I think you're right. Let's start with the Central Division. Arizona went 1-1 this week. They lost to Montreal to begin the week, 3-2 in overtime, where they outshot Montreal. Weirdly enough, for Arizona, they outshot someone.
What?
39-26, but they still lost. Good job. They then lost to Vegas 5-2, where they got outshot 34-23. 2 for 4 on the PK in that game.
That's not good.
Silver lining to that loss, Christian Fischer had a goal and an assist. And they beat LA in a shootout to finish off their week going into the holiday break. Nick Bukestad had the only goal in the shootout for Arizona. For either team. Okay, what?
No, keep going.
Okay.
I remembered a storyline that I wanted to talk about, and
Okay,
I got to
cool.
bring it up.
All right. Nick Schmaltz is their top player of the week. He had 2 goals and an assist this week. Chicago is up next.
And they're bad.
But they did win a game this week.
Boo.
They went 1-2, but they're, I believe, in last place in the league right now. Or close to it, if not.
They are.
They lost to Nashville to begin their week 4-2. Connor Murphy did have a goal and an assist in that game, so he factored in on both goals. They then beat Columbus, who's almost as bad as Chicago, but
is not.
they're almost as bad, but they're almost as bad because Columbus is riddled with injuries, which we will get to later on in the episode.
Riddled.
Not that I don't think they would be a playoff team if all of those guys were healthy. They wouldn't be good, but they would be much better than their record is.
It's always lupus.
It's never lupus. Taze and Kane each had a goal and 2 assists in this game. Look at them acting like this is
2010.
2010. Yeah. Max Domi, not Ty Domi, like I always want to say,
you got that.
had a goal and an assist in this game as well. Oh, I'm sorry. So let me, because I might make this mistake again later in the episode. I forgot that we didn't do Sunday last week.
Oh, yeah.
Until way later this week when I had already made all of my notes. So they actually started their week by getting destroyed by the Rangers 7-1.
Oh yeah, they got stomped.
There's not really anything else to say about this game. The Rangers just crushed them from like the opening
from
bell.
Start to finish.
Yeah, from start to finish, they got annihilated by the Rangers. Moving on, they don't get a top player because one, I didn't write it down, and they're terrible. So Colorado is up next. They started their week with a very rare double shutout.
What?
1-0 shootout win against the Islanders.
What?
Yes. Georgiev made 26 saves for a shutout. Oh my God. Evan Rodriguez. God, I couldn't think of his name for a second.
Oh, yeah, I saw him.
Had the only shootout goal.
Yes.
So in case you guys don't know, if a hockey game goes to a shootout at 0-0, both goalies get credited with a shutout.
As they should.
Game. As they should. It very rarely happens, but it's kind of a cool statistic when it happens. So Georgiev and I don't remember what. I mean, obviously, I'll mention it later for the Islanders. Each got a shutout in this game. Colorado.
Was it Varlamov or Sorokin?
I think it was Sorokin, but we'll make sure later. Yeah. Colorado then beat Montreal in overtime 2-1, where they outshot them 36-20. Mikko Rantanen, overtime goal and an assist in this game, and he wasn't done because he had a goal and an assist in an overtime win against Nashville as well.
I saw a stat that he has scored 25% of their goals on the season.
Well, most of the rest of their top forwards are injured, so he's the only one that's there. But hey, he's helping the team tread water until McKinnon should be back relatively soon. I'm not 100% certain about the rest of them, but
Landeskog should be out long term.
Landeskog, I don't even know if he's going to play this year. But McKinnon, I think it was only like a month-ish that he was going to be injured, so he should be back maybe in January. But Sam Girard had the overtime game winner in that one against Nashville. Rantanen is, of no surprise, one of their top players this week with 2 goals and 2 assists. Georgiev is the other, 3-0, 940 goals against. I'm sorry. Oh, I misread that because it was confusing. 0.94 goals against average, and a 965 save percentage. Obviously, with that one shutout. Pretty good. Pretty good week for Colorado. Looking more like themselves. Dallas is up next, and they went 2-1 this week. They beat Columbus 2-1, pretty close to game. Ottinger had made 27 of 28 saves in that one. They then lost to Edmonton 6-3.
Yes, they did.
Silver lining, Marchment had 2 assists in this game. This game was tied 3-3 going into the third period.
I actually saw the first 2 periods, and basically when one team scored, the other team responded immediately. Yeah. It was fun.
One of those games,
And I went to bed at the third period.
And you were like, oh, God, what happened?
Right. It's the same when I went to bed for the Buffalo Kings game, where Buffalo scored all 6 goals in the 6th.
You heard it here, folks. If he's watching your game, some wacky crap's going to happen in that third period.
Wackadoo crap.
Dallas then finished off the week by beating Montreal 4-2. They came back from down 2-0 in this game. Montreal was up 2-0, and Dallas came roaring back.
4 unanswered goals.
4 unanswered goals. 2 of those were by Rope. I always want to say Ruop. It's not. It's Rope Hintz.
Rope is a better name.
It is. Well, that's like me just playing video games and not actually hearing his name pronounced until recently. So Rope Hintz had 2 of those goals, while Jason Robertson had 2 assists in that game. Hintz and Robertson are their co-players of the week. Hintz had 3 goals this week, while Robertson had a goal and 3 assists. Pretty good week for them. Minnesota, 2-1 this week. They started their week by beating Ottawa. Mm-hmm. See, I caught myself that. That was on Sunday.
Yep.
4-2 was that game. Kaprizov had a goal and 2 assists in that one, while Zuccarello had a goal and an assist. Sam Steele had 2 assists. Then they beat Anaheim 4-1. Matthew Boldy, I think it's Matthew, had a goal and 2 assists in this game. While they outshot Anaheim 42-22.
We'll get to the Anaheim.
Why? Oh, they're doing really good.
They're doing great.
They then finished off the week, finished off their time before their holiday break by losing to San Jose 5-2.
Yeah. San Jose took out some anger.
Where they were 4 for 6 on the penalty kill, and some suspensions. A suspension came out of this game, where Mason Shaw, knee on knee, looked like intentionally.
Is there a ghost?
I think there's a ghost in my condo.
I think there's a ghost.
You explain. I'll be right back.
Yeah. All right. For the ghost, Bert's ceiling fan just started out of nowhere.
We're just gonna cut power to it.
While right before we started recording, that ceiling fan lights turned off on their own. So
I don't know what's happening with that thing.
Spooky ghost.
It makes me think I need to have an electrician come and look at it. Anyway, Mason Shaw, pretty clearly intentionally drove his knee into who was that?
Evgeny
Svechnikov's his knee.
Yes.
If you watch the replay,
it's pretty egregious.
They point out pretty obviously. They're like, look at him lift his knee for no reason.
Yeah.
I'm like, yep, he did lift his knee for no reason. You're right.
He got a match penalty.
Yeah, he deserved it.
5-minute major.
Yeah, he deserved that. But yeah, so he's gonna miss 2 games for that.
Yep.
Deservedly so.
So,
go ahead.
I really like when the player safety actually breaks down why they suspended somebody.
Do they not do it every time?
No, they do.
Oh, okay.
Every time they suspend somebody, they have a breakdown. They might not do it for fines, but they definitely do it for suspensions. I want them to do it every once in a while for non-suspensions.
Oh, like why we didn't?
Yeah, it's just like, here's what happened. We don't think that, like...
Yeah, this is why we're not giving out a suspension or a fine or whatever.
That's why we're not looking at it. Like,
it's like, oh, but if you look at it, he's like trying to do this and he just kind of misses and, he didn't do it on purpose, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's not like those videos are like particularly interesting.
No.
But they do give the reasoning for the suspension. So they're a good service to the community.
Yes. So I think non-suspension videos would be like, doesn't have to be for every single little incident. But like every once in a while, it's just like
maybe explain why you didn't do it. Yeah. Well, anyway, Minnesota had 2 top players this week. Kaprizov and Boldy each had a goal and 3 assists. Moving right along to the Nashville Predators, who were 2-0-1 this week. They started off the week by beating Edmonton in overtime 4-3. 1 for 3 on the penalty kill in that game.
Don't worry about it. They won.
That's true. Ugly win is still a win. Cody Glass had 2 assists in this game, while they then beat Chicago 4-2, as I previously mentioned. We're going to say Parsonen had 2 assists, while Roman Josi had a goal and an assist. I feel like you
should.
They then lost in overtime to Colorado, as I already previously mentioned, where they blew a 2-0 lead in that game.
Didn't Josi become like Nashville's all-time points leader?
Probably. I don't know.
It was either this week or last week.
There was a lot of milestones this week. One much more important than all the rest of them. So. St. Louis is up next, where they were 1-1 on the week. They beat Vancouver 5-1, where they were 2 for 3 on the power play.
Yep.
Jordan Kyrou had a hat trick plus an assist, while Robert Thomas had a goal and an assist, and Tarasenko had 3 assists. They then lost to Seattle in pretty bumbling fashion. 5-2 was the end of that game. Not really anything else to say about it. They then lost to Vegas in a shootout. 5-4 was the end score there.
No shame in losing the shootout.
No, and honestly, no shame in losing to Seattle this year either. They're playing much better than they had been
last year.
They have a better record.
Seattle's coming off a bad streak.
Gotcha.
That's what it was. They were like,
no shame in losing in a shootout to Vegas, who is a good team. Buchnevich had a goal and an assist in this game, while Tarasenko had a goal and 2 assists in this game, and Torrey Krug had 2 assists. Vladdy Tarasenko is their top player of the week with a goal and 5 assists. And finishing off for the Central, the Winnipeg Jets did not have a good week.
No.
They went 1-3 this week. They lost to Seattle 3-2 on Sunday. They were 2 for 3 on the power play in that game, while Pierre-Luc Dubois had a goal and an assist, but it didn't matter because they still lost.
I'm going to talk about Seattle's penalty kill a little bit later.
Okay.
It's not Vancouver's, but it's
shiver
not good.
With anticipation. Hey, Winnipeg then turned around and beat Ottawa 5-1, where they were outshot by a factor of 36-24. Kyle Connor had 2 goals and an assist in this game, while Josh Morrissey had a goal and an assist, and 3 other players had 2 assists.
Wow.
Hey, and no shame in this, they did lose to Boston. Boston is the best team in the league, as much as I hate that. But they blew a 2-0 lead in this game and ended up losing 3-2.
Yep.
They were outshot against Boston 39-27. And then they finished off the week by losing to Washington in a bigly fashion, 4-1. But it's bigly for Washington, not so much for Winnipeg.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that
Later.
towards the end of the show. Morrissey is their top player with a goal and 4 assists. The only real news for the Central Division is that Jared Tenorti of Chicago fame is going to the IR with a facial fracture that I believe he took a puck to the face.
There's a lot of pucks to the face recently.
A week or 2 ago. I think maybe they thought it wasn't as bad,
Gotcha.
but it's taking longer to heal, so off to the IR for him.
Yeah, there's been a lot of pucks to the face this year.
Yeah, there was one just recently. Was it in the Washington game?
Yeah.
Oh, it was Carlson.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Carlson's out indefinitely.
Yeah. Yeah, that sucks. Anyway,
But yeah,
next up.
we're going to stay in the West.
Sorry
Pacific.
if I'm bumbling a little bit. I'm tired.
And the Ghost.
And I'm a little freaked out about my ceiling fan now.
Ceiling Ghost.
Ceiling Ghost. I usually just use it for light, but I'm very worried about its electricity. It's like wiring currently.
It's just going on its own.
Yeah, that happened like a couple weeks ago, and I don't know why, but then it didn't happen for a while. I came home and it was the lights were on, and I was like, "Oh, my dog maybe just stepped on the remote," and then I just let it go. But then we were setting up, and the lights went off, and she was nowhere near the remote, and then the fan just turned on,
And she's nowhere
and she
near
was nowhere near the remote. So
Red rum.
I don't know what's going on.
Red rum.
Ghosts of my past are coming to get me.
All right. Staying in the West, talking about the Pacific, we're going to start with Anaheim.
Anaheim, best team in the league.
2-1 this week
Yeah, that sounds about right.
for a 9-22-4 record. It's not the worst in the league
No, that would be Chicago.
because of Chicago,
Yeah.
but it's right there.
Who wants Connor Bedard?
All right, so they started off their week by losing to the Kings 1-4.
Nice.
They were outshot 41-25.
Excellent.
Bert talked about the Minnesota loss 1-4 again, where
did.
he said they were outshot 42-22.
Yeah.
Mason McTavish had the only goal in that game.
Sick.
And then they lost in overtime to Calgary, where they were outshot 45-23. Did you see a trend there?
Ooh, their defense is bad.
Their defense is bad. Their special teams is actually pretty good. Like,
R.I.P. John Gibson.
he ain't playing this week. He's been hurt.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot he got hurt.
I forgot his first name, but
John.
Dostal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Fred.
He's actually
Freddie Dostal.
I'm gonna say he's their top player this week because sure he went 0-2-1 this week, and sure he had a 3 goals against average,
But my man's getting shelled.
but he had a 920 save percentage for the week.
My God.
which is where you want league average to be.
Insane.
But
No, that's not even league average. That's like really good.
yeah, I thought 9.3 is like where your elites are. Yeah, he had a 920 save percentage, 921
that poor bastard.
save percentage in those 3 games.
My man's getting shelled. What was that? What did you say? It was what? 40
41, 42, and 45 in those 3 games.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I think he's on the younger side, too.
Yes,
so
he is.
Trial by fire for you, young man.
I mean, you could see it affect Gibson. Like,
Oh, yeah.
He's both mentally and physically getting shelled in these games.
John Gibson is quote-unquote injured.
Yeah, right?
And he's like, oh, no, my foot. My foot hurts.
Um,
I can't play.
Him and Stolars, I think, are expected back after this break, so they are expected to come back soon.
Well, that's good.
Where
actually,
they will
I think
be-
they activated Stolars already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he didn't. But again, he didn't
hasn't
play.
played, yeah.
So they will be up to get shelled.
Hooray.
Because
Throw Stolars in there.
it's like they don't have a defense at all.
It sure seems like it. Boy, that John Klingberg. They ain't gonna get crap for him.
Oh, they might get like a
They
second.
ain't getting a first.
No.
I'll tell you that much.
But yeah, so
Unless somebody's unless some big offensive defenseman goes down and somebody really needs him. But then.
Well, I mean, literally like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, when we were talking crap on him, he immediately picked it up. So he has been.
He listens.
I know.
Hi, John.
But again, like
We're just kidding. We're big fans.
he's not the only problem.
My dream for this podcast is to have a player tweet at us and be like, "Hey, shut up." But they only got about 6 months to do it because then I think Twitter's going to go away probably.
Shut up, you nerds! You don't know anything.
Yeah. Oh God, I would love it. Any player, any of you.
It could be
You could be an AHL player. I don't care.
right because
It would just make my life.
who the hell are we to talk? But
Hey, I don't know, somewhere between 10 and 20 people listen to this.
look, I believe I'd be a better GM than Chuck Fletcher. So again,
There's several GMs I think I would probably be at least a little bit better at. I don't know about negotiating contracts, but building a team, I think I might be a little better at them.
I'm just saying Chuck Fletcher.
Well,
I'm putting the bar at the bottom.
They signed Kevin Hayes to that contract and then scratched him for a game, even though he's their best player.
I'm actually fine with.
Sorry.
We'll
don't
get
know
to
what
that
she
when
was
we
doing.
talk about Philly, but
Yeah,
I am actually fine with Tortorella's decision.
It didn't hurt anything, really.
Well, that's the thing.
They're not going to win.
No, he wants effort, and if he doesn't care if
I
you're on
feel
this
like
contract.
Tortorella himself had to know we're going to be bad this year.
Yeah,
And he has said as much.
Yeah, which is why he's just like, I don't care that we suck. You got to put in the effort. And
Yeah,
if
true.
Hayes isn't putting in the effort, he's going to bench him.
All right, we'll talk about Philly.
I
in a
think we
little bit.
did.
We'll talk. I'm sure we'll talk about him again.
All right, Calgary. Up next, because I felt like going alphabetical. I know.
Pulling a me.
3-0-1.
Hey, look at them
Looking
doing better.
good,
Let's turn it
looking
around,
good.
Calgary. Turn it around.
16-12-7 on the season.
All right, they're getting closer to being 500. They're getting there.
The Pacific is a mess.
Yeah, that helps them.
It really does. So, back-to-back games at San Jose. Because the first game was the 18th, so that
The
last
Sunday game, yeah.
So they went back-to-back with San Jose. They beat them both 5-2 and 3-7 in those games. Then Lindholm had 2 goals and an assist in the first game, and he had 3 assists in the second. Then they lost the Kings in overtime, where Dubé did have a goal. And then they finished by beating Anaheim in overtime, with Rasmus Anderson having the overtime game winner.
They need to trade him to Buffalo, so Buffalo can have a bunch of Rasmuses again.
Yeah.
And
I mean, they had Ristolainen.
Well, he is Rasmus the Lesser.
Well, Ristolainen used to move the puck well for Buffalo.
We got to stop talking about Philadelphia.
They're just so bad.
We got to stop talking about them.
They're so bad and they're so close to us.
That's true. They're only a few hours away.
Yeah. So, but their
Suck
top
it.
player is Tyler Toffoli with 4 goals and 3 assists.
Good for him. He was a good
this
fit
season.
when... Did he get traded there last year or the
Yes,
year
he
before?
did.
It was last year, right? Because he was on Montreal.
Yes, he got traded there last
And then
year and immediately
he looked
slotted
real
in.
good, yeah. So,
Um,
yeah, Calgary needs to pick it up a bit.
we should bring up the standings because I'm pretty sure these are close.
Okay.
Um,
You keep talking. I'm pulling up.
Edmonton's up next who had a 1-1-1 week. They are now 18-15-2 on the season. That overtime loss to Nashville, like Bert mentioned.
Yes.
Um,
Nashville hot chicken.
2 for 3 on the power play, like Bert said, but 1 for 2 on the penalty kill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So then they beat Dallas, like Bert said as well, and then they finished their week losing to, Vancouver, 2-5.
Yay, Vancouver.
So 3 for 8 on the power play, which is what you want.
Yeah.
But 5 for 8 on the penalty kill, which is what you don't.
Yeah, they're the inverse of each other. Right?
In the Dallas game, Jan Mark had 2 goals and an assist. And in the Vancouver game, because I believe they were up 2-0 against Vancouver. I saw part of this game. Derek Ryan had a goal.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
He either had the first or second goal. So one of the two.
My man Derek Ryan out of nowhere.
Oh
my God, come on.
Ryan Nugent Hopkins
What about him?
is their top player with 3 goals and 2 assists.
Good for him.
And I didn't even have to eliminate Draisaitl and McDavid. He was straight up their top
Hell
player
yeah.
this week.
Hell yeah. Suck it, McDavid.
Suck it. Jesus.
Ryan Nugent Hopkins like, I'm the real number 1 pick that was here. I was the first number 1 pick.
He is having a career year.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Good for him.
he is on pace to shatter all of his records.
Take that, McDavid.
Yeah.
Let's finish and then we'll look at the standings.
All right. The Kings went 1-1-1 as well. They're 19-12-6. That, keeps them firmly in second, but they have played 37 games compared to Seattle's 32.
Oh, yeah. Whoa, yeah. Why has Seattle played so few games?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Beating Anaheim to start the week. We've talked about all these games already. Anaheim 4-1, Calgary 4-3 overtime, and then the shootout 1-2 shootout loss to Arizona, 1-1 shootout loss. That game was actually both reverse retros. You had the Kachina oranges and then the Lakers,
the Laker color.
Laker color
Bring
whites.
back the royal colors.
Special teams could have been better. Iafallo is back.
Hey, Alex Iafallo.
And he's their top player. 2
Nice.
goals and an assist.
He's back, baby.
Also, Kevin Fiala basically had a Lemieux play where he shrugged off a bunch. He shrugged off.
He just carried the entire defense into the
exactly, and then scored and would have gotten a penalty if he not.
It's really fantastic to see guys do stuff like that. Obviously, just watch Lemieux highlights. But Crosby's done it once or twice. McDavid, I think, has done it. Ovechkin has done it, where they just drag defenders with them and they just still score.
It has been so long since the Kings have had a pure goal scorer like Fiala.
Yeah,
like Jeff Carter was their last pure goal scorer.
Jeff Carter 10 years ago
Exactly.
was their last one. Yeah.
So it's one of the reasons why they're doing so well right now. Their defense.
I mean, it was a good trade
their defense
for them.
needs to play better. But Quick is back. He played that Arizona shootout loss, but Phoenix Copley might be their starter right now.
Ooh,
with how he's
look at
playing.
them. Well, Cal Peterson is in the minors.
We'll talk about that. San Jose 1-2, 11-18-6 on the season. First 2 games were against Calgary, where they lost 2-5 and 3-7 respectively. Hurdle had a goal and assist in the first game. Timo Meyer had a goal and assist the second game. And in that 5-2 Minnesota win, Erik Karlsson had 1 goal and 3 assists.
Erik Karlsson's on a heater this year
He
so
has
far.
been killing it. In those 3 games, they had 16 power plays.
That's insane.
They converted 4, which is fine, whatever. But just saying, they
crazy.
had 16 power plays.
Well, they're good. Well, one of those was a major, wasn't it?
Yes,
right?
it was.
With the kneeing.
Yeah.
They should have scored more on that. Anytime you get
Probably.
a major penalty like power play,
You at least have to have one.
you got to score at least one on that. You got to punish them for whatever they did to get that major.
Erik Karlsson is their top player with 1 goal and 6 assists.
Hell yeah.
So he's actually playing the best he has ever played on. He's on
San Jose, certainly.
San
yeah.
Jose.
It looks like old
on
Carlson.
Pace, on pace for old Carlson. He might be having a career year, actually.
Maybe.
Seattle is next.
See if they can actually trade him at some point.
2-0-1. 18-10-4. Like I said, they've only played 32 games. They're in third, but they've only played 32
weird.
games to Los Angeles' 37.
The only other team that's close to being that low is Vancouver with 33.
Right. Talked about two of these games, the Winnipeg win and the St. Louis win. And then they lost to Vancouver in a shootout 5-6, where they decided they didn't want to win.
That's always nice.
Yep.
You guys win.
They snatched defeat from the jaws of victory.
Hell yeah, love it.
Power play was 0 for 6. Penalty kill was 5 for 9.
Oh my god. They had 9 in that one game?
No.
Or that was the whole week?
Whole week.
Okay.
Whole week.
God, I thought that was
5 for 9 on the whole week.
going to go crazy. They had 4 power play goals.
But their power play penalty kill recently is kind of been to let them score. It seems like to just like let them
Just get off the power play.
Yeah.
And just let them have it. It's fine.
They just stand around and don't really
Sweet.
do anything,
Love that.
which is amazing that they're not on Vancouver levels of penalty kill.
Yeah,
They just
that's
seem they
bad.
don't know what to do on the
They're just like, yeah,
penalty kill.
I don't know. Oh, I was going for the puck, coach, but then he passed it to somebody else.
I don't know what to
I don't know
do.
what to do.
Morgan Geekie had 2 assists in the St. Louis
Geeky.
win, and then Dylan Sprong had 2 goals in the Vancouver loss. McCann and Sprong are their top players with 3 goals each.
All right. Both former Penguins.
Yeah. Yes, they are. All right. Last 2 teams in the Pacific. And then talking about news.
We'll check out the standings after that, too.
Standings and another stat line that Pacific is.
That's Pacifically.
It's specifically about this team. Oh my god, I can't say specific after Pacific. That was
Pacifically.
Thank you. Vancouver 2-1 this week.
It's so funny to watch you just like, I could just see your brain lock up.
Yeah,
Because I've known you for so long. You're just like,
you see the brain lock up. You see the mouth.
I can see like error flashing in your eyes.
Yeah, no, it's great.
It happens to me too. Not as much, but you know.
Vancouver is 15-15-3.
Yes, they are. I'm looking at the
are.
standings right now.
1-5 loss to St. Louis, like you said, and then they beat Seattle in a shootout 6-5, where Elias Pettersson had 2 goals and 3 assists.
He's their only untouchable.
Well, he's just like, I'll show you untouchable, and put up 5 points.
Can't touch us. No, not Pedersen.
And then beating Edmonton in regulation.
Hell yeah.
Where Horvat had 4 points, 2 goals and 2 assists. He made a statement as well.
Well, he's going to be on another team probably at the end of the year. So
5 for 7 on the penalty kill.
That's not as bad as it could have been.
It's not bad, but they are on pace to have the worst penalty kill ever.
That's what we said last year too.
Yeah, but
and then they turned it around.
They
Barely.
It's been a year. It hasn't gotten better.
But it's consistency, Clay.
Yes,
okay.
it
at
is
least they're consistently the worst one.
Elias Pettersson is their top player with 2 goals and 5 assists.
Yep. He's very good.
Finishing the week in Vegas who went 2-1. They're 24-11-1. Losing to Buffalo to start the.
I am Buffalo. Come, puny Batman. You cannot stop Buffalo.
If anything, that is a Flash villain, and you know it.
I don't even know if it's Flash.
I mean,
who would Buffalo be the villain against?
Crimson Chin?
Yeah, the Crimson Chin. Yeah, no, it would be. What a pull on.
2-3 loss.
Or Captain Underpants, maybe.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe Captain Underpants.
Yeah, Buffalo isn't like anatomy related, so.
No, that's true. Buffalo. You guys tweeted us who you think Buffalo would be a villain to. Captain Planet, maybe?
Captain he
Genetically changed buffalo.
Yeah, but
Maybe the Venture Brothers?
that's closer.
Just as like a
The Wild
shitty
Thornberrys?
knockoff. The Wild Thornberrys. Come out, Nigel Thornberry, fight me. I am Buffalo. Or
Smashing.
it would be a Godzilla monster.
Oh, yeah,
It could be
yeah,
a Godzilla monster too. Yeah.
All right.
Godzilla versus Buffalo. And he's just a big buffalo that Godzilla fights. That's one of those like
I'm in.
That's one of those like 70s Godzilla
I'm in.
movies where it just doesn't make sense what he's fighting.
The win against Arizona, like you mentioned. And then the shootout win.
Oh, I'm sorry, we're still doing the podcast.
We're
Yeah.
still doing the podcast, yeah. I didn't think of it. And the shootout win to St. Louis, like you already talked about. 3 for 9 on the power play.
Pretty good.
And adjusted 5 for 6 on the penalty, or adjusted 6 for 6 on the penalty kill.
Nice.
Stone had 2 goals and assists in the Arizona. Yep.
Just open that because
I
you
like-
could hear it on the mic.
Yeah,
I was like, what
it-
is that noise?
Oh,
I was like, oh, God, the wiring's going to explode.
2 goals and an assist against Arizona, and Chandler Stevenson. I said Stone. Stone had 2 goals and an
Chandler
assist.
Stone.
Stone had 2 goals and an assist against Arizona. Chandler Stevenson had a goal and 3 assists against St. Louis, where Chandler Stevenson is their top player for the week with 2 goals and 5 assists.
And his name is Chandler.
Best Chandler since the guy on Friends.
Chandler.
Also, I do
The
want to.
sidekick of Buffalo.
Oh man, we're never leaving Buffalo again.
I'll forget by next week.
I do want to also shout out Mike Amadio because he
Okay.
has been playing first line center since Jack Eichel is out, and he is
Oh.
very much making the most.
It might be Amadio.
I wasn't sure.
I'm not sure though. I know. I know what name it is though.
He has like 2 goals and 3 assists this week as well. So he is very much making the most of his opportunity in
To attack.
Jack Eichel's replacement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His opportunity to attack that hole in the roster.
Yes.
Nailed it.
All right.
Nailed it, nerds. Shut up, nerds. That's what Chandler Stevenson's going to tweet
Yep.
at us later.
So injury news for Anaheim. Vakanainen is out with an illness. Don't know how long.
His defenseman, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I already mentioned the Gibson and Stolarz are expected back this week. So he's their only new guy.
Hooray.
And
Excuse me, sorry.
I don't know if Vakanainen is only expected to miss this first game this week. For Calgary, I put his first initial. Is it Dennis Gilbert?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. He is on the IR with an undisclosed injury.
Bummer.
He's only played 1 game this past week.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
No.
he only played that first
Gotcha.
San Jose game. For Edmonton, update on Broberg. He was day-to-day last week. He is now out 2 to 3 weeks with a high ankle sprain.
Sucks.
Oscar
Clefbaum.
Clefborn.
Oh. It's someone different.
Yes.
Sorry.
LTIR with... He's not officially on the LTIR. He's going to miss the rest of the season with the shoulder injury and surgery.
Well, he'll go on the LTIR
Yes.
eventually.
Ryan Murray is on the IR with a back injury as well. For the Kings, Keliev,
Kyliev.
yes,
Keliev.
is out with an undisclosed injury. Going to miss a couple of games. They didn't say why. For San Jose, Kunin. Last week was day-to-day, week-to-week. He has had surgery on his ACL tear. He is done for the season.
That ain't week to week, you liars.
well-
he tore his ACL.
Well, I think it had just happened, like when we
okay.
were
Oh,
the day
gotcha,
we recorded.
gotcha.
So
And they were like, maybe it's not a torn ACL. JK, it's a torn ACL.
it's a torn ACL. Also, Tomas Hertl in the first Calgary game, he ended up with a 2-game suspension
Nice.
for high sticking. I don't know who in the face.
Sick.
Yeah,
If he got a 2-game suspension, that means it was clearly on purpose.
it was
So-
clearly on purpose. And
Sounds like I think Malkin got suspended in the playoffs one year because he did something dumb
everyone
like that.
knows you're gonna get the person who retaliates
Yeah.
is gonna get the penalty.
Yep. And or suspension.
I don't care that you just took 3 cross checks to the arm. Don't slash him in the face.
If you're gonna slash him, at least like do the shins or something.
Nah,
not something where you're absolutely going to get suspended.
No, he wanted to draw blood, and he did.
He did. Hey,
Look at that. All right, and finishing up with Vegas, Jonathan Marchessault is day-to-day with a lower body, and Paul Cotter was
Welcome back.
day-to-day. He is now on the IR with an upper body.
Oh.
He missed all of week.
Not welcome back.
No,
Connor.
it's not.
Not welcome back.
The stat line
Oh yeah.
that
yeah,
I was
Tell
talking
me.
to you about
Tell me.
that is Pacific specific. I did
There
it.
you go.
I
There
did it.
he
I
is.
just had
See,
to
you
not
just had to not think about it.
not think.
Yeah.
I do that a lot, but it depends. All right. So there are 7 goalies in the Pacific Division
I saw this. Yeah.
with a cap hit of at least $5 million.
Yeah. They're
All of them
really bad.
have a sub 900 save percentage.
That's good though, right? It's like golf.
No,
Oh.
it's not.
Oh.
Like you said, 9-2 is really
It's
good.
So bad.
All right, so the goalies that are $5 million cap hit. We have John Gibson, who at the time has a 8.96 that tracks. He doesn't have a defense. He doesn't have a defense that's fair.
Facing 40 plus shots a game.
I can't.
John Gibson, you can't really fault for that one.
You can't fault for that. Jacob Markstrom, 8.93. He's not playing that great.
No.
His defense is a little different
They're
in front
using
of him.
Vladar a lot more.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he's, it's not necessarily good. Thatcher Demko, 8.83. He's having a bad year.
Oh yeah.
He's
is
on
bad.
he's on the IR right now. But he's also is not playing well.
Not good. No.
Not playing well. Jonathan Quick, 8.82.
At least you can be like Jonathan Quick's old.
You can say that,
Yeah.
but and also their defense, the Kings' defense hasn't been that great in front of them. So
Right.
you can say that. And this is the last year of his $5 million deal.
I imagine he'll probably retire.
He's either going to I don't know. He might
maybe
come back for.
maybe he'll sign a cheap deal with LA
I feel like he
to
might.
just like be a backup / mentor.
Exactly. I think he might do that. Philip Grubauer, 8.82. That's not good.
Ugh.
Now, he got this deal by playing behind Colorado's defense,
Yeah,
which was really good.
much better.
Which was
Yeah.
really good. So
Still pretty good.
it seems like his defense got him a contract. So he might need to
Buy those guys some watches.
exactly
Yeah.
send them a very nice Christmas present. He hasn't been playing a lot.
Thanks, Makar.
And then Jack Campbell, 8.75.
My God.
Yes.
That's worse than I thought.
Again, his defense in front of him is bad.
Yeah, that's true.
It is bad, but he is such a head case where if he is not confident, then he doesn't play well, and it turns into a spiral. And this is kind of where we are right now.
And then they signed the other goalie that they had
I
to an
forgot to
extension.
bring
yeah,
that
I
up.
just thought of it while you were talking about.
Skinner got a $2.4 million contract
Yeah,
for
it's like
3 years.
3 years, I think. It's not that bad, but
Which, if you look at it, you have $8 million tied up with your 2 goalies.
yeah.
That's actually really good. Don't
That's
look at
not
the
bad.
breakdown. Don't
Yeah,
look at the
it's not-
breakdown. But $8 million between 2 goalies.
Don't look at the breakdown of the
No,
rest of the
not
roster.
bad. No, don't look at the breakdown of your goalies, but and who's doing what. Also, Skinner's a really cool story because he's from Edmonton. He was drafted by Edmonton. Like
that's
he
nice.
is
Yeah, that's
Edmonton
nice.
born and bred. So it's really cool to
He's
see
like
him.
kind of the starter now. So
He is the
he
starter
is the
now.
starter now. Yeah.
I feel bad because one of those Dallas goals, he got hit in the shoulder. It popped straight up,
and
then-
trickled behind him.
hit him in the back, and then went in. Like it's
sucks.
just like, what are you gonna do?
You
What are
can't do
gonna, what are
anything
you
to
gonna
stop
do?
that one. That's
And
just
then
bad luck.
And then last is Cal Peterson with an 8.68, and he is doing great in the AHL.
Where I assume he'll probably stay
He's
for
gonna
a
stay
while.
there
Yeah.
because again, Phoenix Copley seems like their starter right now,
Yeah.
which is crazy because
Yeah.
he's bopped around between the Caps and the Blues for a long time. So it's nice to see him
Look
get
at
a
him.
start and
He's gonna
take
win
it.
the Vesna.
I mean, if he keeps playing great under that defense, he might.
Maybe.
Yeah.
No, he won't.
Yeah, no.
Let's look at the standings really quick for the Pacific. Then we'll backtrack a little bit, look at the Central as well. Vegas up at the top with 49 points. LA in second with 44. Seattle in third with 40 points, but they have 5 games in hand on LA and 4 games in hand on Vegas. And
3 games in hand on Calgary, who is right behind them with 39 points.
3 games in hand on everybody else except for Vancouver, who they only have 1 game in hand on. Calgary, 39 points. Edmonton in 5th place with 38 points.
But they're right there.
They're right there. They're right there.
Calgary and Edmonton are fighting for that 4th spot.
Yeah. Vancouver right below Edmonton with 33 points. San Jose, 28 points. And Anaheim, a measly 22 points. Measly. But you know what? Not the least in the league, because let's look at the Central really quick. Dallas up at the top with 46 points.
Like everyone thought was going to happen this season.
Hey,
everyone thought.
Yeah, we didn't call it.
Yeah.
And just like everyone thought, Winnipeg is in second with 43 points, while Colorado and Minnesota each have 40 points. But
Colorado.
Based on games played, Colorado has a game in hand on Minnesota, so technically they're in third place. St. Louis has 34 points, while Nashville has 33. Arizona 27. Arizona actually probably not doing as bad as people thought they were going to. And Chicago bringing up the rear of the league with 20 points.
They don't have 9 wins yet.
8, 20, and 4. They've also only played 32 games. Oh, that's interesting. Most of the Pacific, all of the Pacific has played more games than everybody except Dallas. Not including Seattle. And Vancouver, but everyone else has played the same amount of games as Dallas or more. That's interesting.
Winnipeg and St. Louis also have 34, but
it's close, but still, it's weird. The scheduling's weird, I guess. Anyway, let's move on.
Tell me about the Metro.
To the Metropolitan Division. Carolina played 4 games this week. I didn't write down their overall record. Were they 4-0? They were 4-0. This week.
Yeah, they were.
They beat Pittsburgh to start the week off on Sunday, 3-2. Brady Shea, Jordan Staal, and Derek Stepan, of all people.
That's who it was. Derek Stepan became like the 6th or 7th player to score against all other NHL teams.
Oh, okay. Well, he did that at some other point this week because he's definitely scored against the Penguins before.
It was last week.
Gotcha.
Last week it was just like, it's a weird guy that you wouldn't think of.
It's a weird guy that I didn't even realize was on Carolina.
Or still in the league.
Well, anyway, all 3 of those guys each had a goal and an assist this week. Carolina then beat the New Jersey Devils 4-1, where they were outshot 38-20 by the Devils.
Don't matter.
Jake Slavin. Is it Jake Slavin? Slavin had 2 assists this week, the defenseman. Then they beat Pittsburgh again, this time in overtime, where the final score was 4-3. Coughlin, had 2 assists, while Slavin had the overtime game winner.
Yeah. I believe it's Jacob.
I think it is Jacob Slavin. Then they finished off their holiday week by beating Philadelphia 6-5.
Philadelphia made this game close.
They did, but Carolina held on in the end. Jordan Staal had 3 assists in this game, while Jordan Martinook had a goal and 3 assists. And 4 other players had 2 points in this game. For the Hurricanes, Jordan Staal is their top player this week with 3 goals and 4 assists.
Look at old man Staal.
He's like the youngest Staal.
The other 2 Staals are on Florida.
Are they both on Florida?
Yes.
Mark and Eric?
Yes.
Oh. Jordan Staal incoming to Florida. Let's move on to Columbus, who went 0-3 this week, losing to Dallas 2-1. Pretty close game. Mm-hmm. Tarasov made 32 of 33 saves in that game. So that I know that stat line sounds weird. So Dallas was winning 1-0 towards the end of the game. They got an empty net goal, and then Columbus scored with like 15 seconds left or something. Columbus then lost to Philadelphia 5-3. Shameful. And then they lost to Chicago 5-2. Even more shameful. Well, in the Chicago game, at least Bjork had a goal and an assist, while Roslovic had 2 assists. But you're 0-3, so you do not get a top player.
Speaking of Bjork, we watched Muppet Family Christmas.
Bjork.
Yep.
If you haven't seen that, It's such a good.
It's
such a good family.
it's a trip.
Family Christmas movie.
Excellent.
It's great to this day, even with their outdated references because it's from 1987. But Jim Henson's in at the end, which just makes me sad. The Devils went 1-2 this week.
Where Jim Henson is with what?
How dare you? Jim Henson is at. If you believe in heaven, Jim Henson is in the right hand of God now.
He's hanging out with Mr. Rogers.
He's building puppets with Mr. Rogers in heaven. How dare you? How dare you?
It's just too perfect.
This podcast is over. The Devils went 1-2 this week, losing to Carolina 4-1, as I already mentioned, beating Florida 4-2. They were 0-1 on the penalty kill in that game against Florida, but Jesper Bratt had a goal as well. Dougie Hamilton had 2 assists, but then they lost to Boston 4-3. No shame in that one.
No.
They did outshoot Boston by quite a wide margin, 40-23. Nico Hischier and Dougie Hamilton each had 2 assists in this game, while Tater had a goal and an assist.
Good old Tater.
They do not get a top player, though.
No.
Because their scoring was kind of spread around. And they
falling back to earth.
Yeah,
they're rocketing.
They lost that first place in the Metro real quick.
With Carolina.
Carolina's in first now. Well, we'll look at the standings when we get to it. The Islanders up next, 1-1. The fabled double shutout, as I already mentioned, against Colorado, where they lost 1-0 in in a shootout. It was Sorokin. He made 46 saves for that shutout. He was doing everything he possibly could, and he got scored on in the shootout, unfortunately. They then lost to the Rangers 5-3, where they were outshot 34-18.
Battle of New York.
Battle of New York, indeed. Barzal and Romanov each had a goal and an assist in this game, and then they stomped Florida 5-1.
Wearing the fisherman.
Anthony Beauvillier had 2 goals and an assist in that game.
I love Beauvillier.
It's a fun name to say.
He really is.
Sorokin is their top player of the week, though. He was 1-1-1, but he had a 1.63 goals against, 9.51 save percentage, and obviously that one double shutout. So, pretty good week for him. Unfortunately, he just didn't get any goal support. Yeah. It's like pitchers in Major League Baseball, where you're like, why don't they have more wins? Why are they only like 3-0 when they've played 10 games?
Yeah,
it's like,
right.
Because the team just will not score for them. Nope. Yeah. Moving on to, I'm sorry.
Felix Hernandez on the Mariners.
Well, he's in the Hall of Fame now, I think.
No? He hasn't retired yet.
Felix Hernandez?
Yeah.
Has he not?
No.
King Felix hasn't retired yet?
Not officially.
Oh.
He was on the Orioles last year. Or at least tried to be.
Was he really?
He tried to be.
Oh my God, I thought he retired years ago at this point.
Nope.
Well, he's going to go in the Hall of Fame eventually.
Maybe.
Maybe.
His decline happened real fast.
Maybe. I know this isn't a baseball podcast, but you see what's going on with Carlos Correa?
Oh, yeah.
Where one team was like, okay, we have this contract set, and they were like, ooh, you're medical though.
Nope.
We're gonna rescind that contract, and then he immediately signed with I think the Mets. And they were like, we don't care. Their owner came out was like, we don't care. We'll sign him anyway. And then they were like, I don't know.
And the doctors were like,
yeah, they're like, I don't know about that.
They were looking at, I think they're looking at his run speed and how fast that has declined in the past couple of years.
It's like ankle or something. Or no, his tibia. It's a lower leg of one of his legs. It's just not good, apparently.
Everyone was clowning on the Giants for losing out.
Who's clowning on who now?
Well, they were just like, oh man, maybe they were right. All right, not a baseball podcast.
It's not a baseball podcast. I meant to mention that to you before.
Watch them end up on the Twins again.
Watch the Mets having to be forced to sign that contract. What?
I don't think so.
I guess there's no legal way to force them to sign it. Anyway, let's talk about the Rangers. That's another New York team in a different sports league. They went 2-1 this week.
Mm-hmm.
They did start the week off by losing to Pittsburgh 3-2, where they were 1 for 3 on the penalty kill.
That's bad.
But Chris Kreider had 2 goals in this game, while
good.
Vincent Trocheck had 2 assists against his hometown team. They then beat the Islanders 5-3, as I previously mentioned. Gauthier, I think is how you say that name. It had a goal and an assist in that game. And Goudreau had a goal and 2 assists.
Watch his name actually be like Gunther or some crap.
It's not. There's another player who I think got drafted by... He just got drafted this past year. I want to say it was Philly. Oh no! He's on Arizona.
Oh, okay.
He's on Arizona,
Yes,
and his
yes,
name
yes.
is Gunther, I think. But it has like an E thrown in there somewhere that
Right.
you would not think. Silly
The
French and Eastern European names. Anyway, and of course, you know what? It makes sense because I messed up with Chicago. I messed up with the Rangers. They actually started their week by beating Chicago 7-1.
Stomping them.
Stomping. Panarin had a goal and 2 assists. Fox had 3 assists, and 5 other players had 2 points in that game.
That's crazy.
I mean, they did score 7 goals.
Yeah, but still.
Vinny Trocheck is their top player of the week with 2 goals and 3 assists. Good for him. Philly. Now we can talk about Philly.
Now we can talk about. I feel like we said everything we wanted to. Most of the things.
We can shit on Ristolainen some more. They went 1-2 this week. They did win a game.
Limited mental decision.
Against, they won their first game of the week against Columbus 5-3, where Konechny and Tippett each had 2 goals, while I think it's Cam York had 2 assists. Their young defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
They then lost to Toronto 4-3. Now they made it close late in this game.
Yes, they did.
Toronto did outshoot them 34-19, but Philly, I think, scored almost all of their goals in the third period late in the game.
Yeah, like
I think Toronto was up 4-0, and then Philly was really making it interesting at the end there.
feeling it in garbage time. Toronto stepped off the gas a little bit.
Yeah, that's how you can't step off the gas.
You gotta play 60.
Look, you're gonna get accused of running up the score, but you cannot take your hand off the gas, or I'm sorry, your foot off the gas.
Toronto of all teams knows
Should know
you
that.
never
Yeah,
take your
should know
foot
that.
off the gas.
Or they should know that at least. Travis Konechny had 2 assists in this game, while Anthony DeAngelo had a goal and an assist. And then they lost to Carolina 6-5. Konechny, Lawton, and DeAngelo each had a goal and an assist in this game.
Carolina also took their foot off the gas when they were up 6-1.
Yep.
Don't
Can't
do it.
take Even
Can't
against
do
a
it.
bad team, you can't take your foot off the gas. Pittsburgh specifically, I think, learned that earlier this year, where they blew several multi-goal leads and lost a bunch of those games. Konechny is their top player of the week with 3 goals and 3 assists.
Do you have any word on Hart? He left
No,
the
I
Carolina
didn't see
game.
anything. I didn't see anything mentioned about him anywhere.
So the starting goalie for Philly played his debut NHL game. He let in 5 goals.
Hey.
He got yanked. Carter Hart. I keep saying Connor.
There's so many Connors in the league.
Carter Hart got put in. He had to leave the game with an injury, and the dude who started the game had to get put back in.
Nice.
And he didn't let in another
And
goal.
he didn't play as bad.
No,
Yeah.
he didn't let in another goal the rest of the game, which is good.
Yeah, I haven't seen any reports about Carter Hart, so maybe the injury wasn't actually that significant.
That's good.
But I guess we'll see.
But this is the game where Ristolainen pushed Jarvis into Hart,
That's right. Yes.
where
Limited mental decisions.
said by the Carolina commentator.
He's not wrong. It's a really rude thing to say, but he is not incorrect.
Also, what's super funny about that play is Kokeniemi scored the goal, and you saw it. The ref put his arm up before he even shot it.
Yeah.
For good goal.
It was on the same play. Who did Ristolainen push in?
Jarvis.
Pushed Seth Jarvis into Carter Hart, knocking Hart and injuring him, and then Kokeniemi shot the puck, and the ref was just like, "Yeah, it's gonna be a goal." And it was, but he pointed his hand before Kokeniemi even shot the puck. It's
He's like-
really funny
It's
replay.
like, that's a goal.
It's a really funny replay. It's like, yeah, that's gonna go in.
He's like, I saw what happened there. That's a good goal.
Yep. I'm just going to go ahead and say good goal because I know this is going to go in because the goalie's over there. It's really funny. If you guys haven't seen that replay, it's so funny watching the replay. The ref clearly
It's like a full second before he actually shoots.
He's like, that's going to go in the net. Funny. Oh, man. Yeah. And I believe Ristolainen had an assist in that game.
His first assist of the season.
His first points of the year. $5 million for 4 more years.
Moving the puck was what he was good at. Like,
$5 million
in Buffalo.
for 4 more years.
I don't understand his drop off. I really don't.
I don't know.
He's
I don't know.
6'4". He's 200 some pounds.
He
220
did look.
pounds.
He was looking pretty good for a while, and then he just
And
fell off a cliff.
He doesn't
I just
throw.
don't get it.
He doesn't throw the body. He gets bullied by players that are smaller than him. I don't understand.
I don't know if it's a confidence thing or he didn't have some like grievous injury that I
No.
can remember that would make him like a little bit more iffy when it came to physical contact.
All this
but
criticism might be getting to him, which
maybe. Philly traded a first-round pick for him.
Philly needs to get a better sports psychologist or something.
I don't know. I just don't understand what Philly's doing. I know we said this at the beginning of the year, but we haven't talked about it in depth for a while.
They're not the Broad Street Bullies.
You're not the Broad Street Bullies.
You'll never be them again.
Even though that's what ownership and what's his face? Fletcher, but who's the president?
Oh, I can't remember.
He's that guy, Bobby Clark.
Oh, yeah.
Who was the captain of the Broad Street Bullies.
stupid
Like, they're
name.
just trying to force them to be that again.
It's not what hockey is anymore.
That's not what hockey is anymore. That's not what the Flyers are. They haven't been that for decades at
30,
this point.
40 years.
Even when they were, like, in the playoffs,
a decade ago.
Well, no, even like
sorry,
5 years ago.
I was thinking of the Stanley Cup
Flyers-
final.
Yeah, the Flyers were like still challenging for
Yes, they
for
were.
the playoffs
Yes, they
at
were.
least. While you had Giroux and like Voracek and all of those guys, they weren't the Broad Street Bullies then either. They haven't been that in 30 years at least. And they're trying to force them to be that by getting players that have grit or whatever, like maybe Rasmus Ristolainen, but he doesn't even have that anymore.
Delorier. I'm surprised Tenorti's not on that team.
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't, like, grab Ryan Reeves when he was put on waivers or whatever. Or no, he was traded. But, like,
They might.
I just don't understand what they're trying to do. They need to get rid of
Reeves might
Bobby
have said
Clark.
no.
Maybe he was like, I'm not going to that team.
Right.
It's possible. Chuck Fletcher, who was their GM previously too,
Right.
that did a bunch of other things that people were like, don't get him out of here.
Right.
And then, you can say maybe Ron Hextall didn't build a perennial playoff team.
But look at what
But
Hextall's doing.
They fired him because they wanted to fire the coach, and Hextall was like, "Well, I don't want to fire him yet because it was like his second year or something." And Hextall's the Seattle coach, and they're doing fine this year.
He's doing great.
Yeah, he's
this
doing
year.
much better with Seattle. So you wonder what the constraints were being forced upon him in Philadelphia.
And we also or at least me specifically, I gotta apologize to Ron Francis a little bit for like what he was doing in my criticism.
In Carolina.
In
Seattle.
Seattle.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Because
Ron Hextall and Ron Francis are very similar GMs in my mind. Because what they didn't want to just like go all in, trade their prospects, get star players, like established star players. They were like, no, we're going to slow play this. We're going to get these guys. We're going to build from the draft and still be kind of good,
Right.
Because Carolina, when Ron Francis was the general manager and when Hextall was the general manager,
Francis got a cup with Carolina.
he wasn't the GM then. I think he was.
I
think he was on the team. I think he was actually playing on the team. He might have been in the front office. He was not the general manager.
Interesting. Okay.
Either way, when Hextall and Francis were were the GMs of those respective teams, they were like in the playoffs sometimes, or at least in the mix, but like never there. But they had like everybody agreed, like, oh, they got good young cores. Ron Francis is responsible for Svechnikov, for Aho, for all those other younger Slavin, Pesci, all of those guys,
which are so good
on Carolina, who have developed into stars in the league. And like, oh yeah, you can say like, oh well, those were the obvious picks in the draft because they were picked in like the top 10. But
you
like,
still got to pick them.
Sometimes
still got to pick them.
Not every player is a top 10 player. Like you still got to pick the right guy. And like,
remember Cedar getting.
Yeah,
Detroit clowning
people were
Cedar.
clowning on Detroit for taking Cedar, and he won the Calder last year.
Yeah.
And then Hextall maybe wasn't doing as good of a job with the draft with Philly, but they still got Carter Hart, they still got Provorov, they still got these young. Did he bring in Konechny? He might have brought in Konechny. They still got a bunch of good young players, and they were like building to something, and they were still threatening most of the time to make the playoffs at least. And then the presidents, the owners were like, this isn't going fast enough. And they fired them. And now look at what they're doing. Francis is doing a pretty good job with Seattle. Hextall got a good baseline in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Like he inherited a good team, but he's made some good additions as well. Some fair subtractions as well. He's working with what he's got. You can't say that those guys are doing a bad job currently. And then you look at the teams they came from. Well, Carolina notwithstanding, Carolina's doing great, but that Ron Francis got all of those guys. You know, They just had to sign other guys.
Yeah, no.
You look at Philadelphia now, and the things Fletcher's doing. They signed Kevin Hayes to a 7-year, $7 million. He's been okay, not worth that much money.
He's also had injury problems.
They re-signed JVR for some reason. Their defense is. They did that Ryan Ellis trade, which
isn't it the last year of JVR's
yes,
trade?
it is. Yeah,
okay, or contract.
And you just look at, I don't think bringing Tortorella was the wrong decision. I think he is a good coach. I'm really interested to see if they fire him after this year. I think it would be the wrong decision to do that.
100%, because Tortorella is perfect to build a winning culture in that locker room.
Yeah, look what he did with Columbus.
Columbus
was nothing until he got there.
Having a culture, look at Buffalo 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Their culture was losing, and it bled into their players, and it was not a good time for anybody in that locker room in the front office.
Yeah,
and it's hard to change a culture. You had to gut the front office, you had to gut coaching staff, and now their culture is turning around to just having fun, and that's great, and that's going to build a winning culture. Tortorella is the guy you want to do that for Philadelphia.
Yeah. Because he can have fun when he wants to, but he's usually a hard ass.
Yeah.
But, that's okay. Maybe that's what this iteration of the Flyers needs. I think they also need
right now
to get rid.
They don't have a winning culture.
No.
They don't.
God, Florida should have hired Tortorella in retrospect.
Yeah.
What do you think that team looks like with him?
Ooh, that team is back on top.
They'd be playing team defense, I can tell you that much at least. Anyway, just back to the Flyers really quick. I mean, they also went out and got they went out and traded a first-round pick for Rasmus Ristolainen when he was terrible with Buffalo. And they were like, "Oh yeah, here's a first-round pick," and everybody's like, "What are you doing?"
Well, Ristolainen was very vocal about wanting out of Buffalo.
Right? Yeah, I get it, but how do you just give them a first-round pick for that? The previous 2 years, he was terrible in Buffalo.
That could have been. Well, you could also look at that as just he doesn't want to be here. That's why he's bad. He's not putting in the effort because he doesn't want to be here. And if you,
my point is that loses leverage for Buffalo.
Yes.
Buffalo should have no leverage in that situation, and if they're trying to get rid of him, then they should take whatever they can get for him. And Philly's just here's a first-round pick.
True.
That's my point.
No, you're 100%.
And then they went out and traded for Tony DeAngelo too, who has been a good boy as far as I can tell this year.
Did they trade for him or just sign him in free agency?
No, they traded for him.
Would they get a second?
They traded a second and a third for him or something like that. And they signed him to a fairly reasonable deal.
Yeah.
But
they did.
And he's been fine. He's been a good boy in Philly. He's played pretty well for them.
No, DeAngelo's playing his contract.
That's fine, but it's just another one of those things. It's just okay, we're already on shaky ground. Let's go get a guy that got punched by his own teammate.
That's true.
You know?
Finish with what you're talking about.
Fire Chuck Fletcher.
Into the sun.
Anyway.
But I forgot that we did not even finish the Metro.
No, we're not done with the Metro. Sorry. This is what happens. This is why our episodes have been 2 hours long recently.
We are...
Sorry, or you're welcome for that.
Slightly sorry.
Yeah, I'm not.
That's fair.
Let's talk about Pittsburgh, the other side of Pennsylvania. They went 1-1-1 this week. As I already mentioned. Oh, can you guys hear me? Oh, yes. Can you guys hear my dog chewing on a bone?
Good for her.
There she goes. They started by losing to Carolina on Sunday, like I already mentioned. 3-2 was the end of that game. They then beat the Rangers 3-2, where Crosby had a goal and an assist in that game. Tristan Jarry, 26 of 28 in that game. And then they lost to Carolina 4-3 in overtime. Stupid Carolina. Crosby is their top player this week with 2 goals and an assist. Carolina is very good.
I love Carolina.
Carolina is a very good team.
I'm never gonna root for Pittsburgh.
I'm just mad that
sorry.
No, I'm not asking you to.
No, I always actively root against them every single time. Can't help it.
If they made the Stanley Cup, you wouldn't root for them to win for me.
No.
I would root for Washington to win for you.
Well, I'm sorry.
I'm a better friend than you are.
Probably. It seems like it.
Washington went 3-0 this week. I'm going to reevaluate my friendship.
You should.
They beat Detroit to start off the week 4-3 in overtime, which is crazy. It got to overtime because they outshot Detroit 42-19.
Yeah.
Nick Dowd, of all people, had 2 goals and an assist in this game. Abe Kubel, 2 assists. Gustafsson, a goal and an assist. What did you snap at me for?
KFC double down.
What?
The KFC double down.
What about it?
Double down.
Moving on, they beat Ottawa 3-2 in overtime. You should be ashamed of yourself.
He scored those 2 goals in 11 seconds.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah.
They beat Ottawa 3-2 in overtime as well, where they also outshot them by 40-25 margin. Ovi had 2 assists in this game, and Kuznetsov had a goal and an assist. And I believe that was when we were playing D&D the one night.
Yeah.
And you were like, God, Ovi just needs 1 goal to tie Hal, and he has 2 assists in this game.
Yeah, he does. They're both primary.
But it's okay, because not only did Ovi tie, he surpassed Gordie Howe in the 4-1 victory against the Winnipeg Jets, where he had 2 goals and an assist. Connor Sherry hit 2 assists, and Alex Ovechkin is the number 2 all-time goals scored leaders.
And he did it in the reverse retros.
Hell yeah.
So the jerseys he came into the league with,
He did, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He is at a whopping 802 goals, surpassing Gordie Howe, who is at 801. May he rest in peace. And only 92 behind that boy Wayne.
It's crazy that he can do it in 2 seasons. Theoretically.
Yeah.
With his pace,
I mean, what's he on pace for right now? He has like 25 goals or something right now.
He's on pace for 53.
So let's just say he gets 50.
Yep.
So that takes him to 827. So that would leave 68 goals.
Yeah.
To surpass Gretzky. Yeah. That wouldn't even be 2 more seasons. That would be like a season and a half more-ish.
Exactly. Within 2 seasons,
he's gonna
he could do
it. He's going to do it.
He might be the first to hit 900.
He's going to do it. And then, yeah, that's awesome. I'm
Crazy.
looking forward to it because I think it's boring when one guy has all the records, which when Gretzky does. And I would love, as much as I have hated my team playing against him for his entire career, I would love to see Alex Ovechkin overtake because he is the greatest goal scorer in history, in my opinion.
And don't get me wrong, I root for Crosby. I just want Pittsburgh to lose.
Okay, well, all right. Fine.
There we go.
Fine. I saw somebody on the Pittsburgh subreddit was like, I have a breakdown of what's going to happen in Crosby's career. And it was just like all of these weird scenarios moving forward where he plays until 45 and scores 2,000 points. And I was like, I'm here for it if he does that. Yeah,
great.
that's like 10 more years of Crosby.
Yeah.
So yes, congratulations, Alex Ovechkin. And he is their top player this week with 2 goals and 4 assists. And his name is in the history books. Or is it?
The last, that second goal was an empty net.
Yeah.
He did not want it. Like, he really didn't want that empty net goal.
And you know what? We respect a humble king.
Yeah.
All right? We respect a humble king on this broadcast.
He had the empty net goal, and then he passed it, and the dude he passed it to just sent
like,
it right.
Shut up. Score the goal.
Right back to it. And then it was a no look behind the back.
Of course it was.
So at least.
Well, he should have done it from his butt, like that one famous one from his rookie career.
Right.
Or no, he was on his back when he did
He was,
that.
yeah.
That's still an insane goal. Just to think, I can see it clearly in my mind.
Again, Austin Matthews was in the audience, that side of the net, when Ovechkin scored that goal. And it's just like, I'm playing hockey.
I think when he passes Gretzky should have to bring him a crown, and then he should get to sit on a throne, and Gretzky crowns him the new goal king.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
You're welcome, NHL. I just gave you an amazing idea. You're welcome. And then it can be a throne made out of pucks. Or a throne made out of goalie masks.
How drunk are you?
Not really.
Okay.
It could be made out of goalie masks.
First of all,
Of his defeated
that
foes.
sounds amazing.
They won't do it.
No.
Somebody draw it. All right, let's move on to the news of the Metro because we do still have another division to do. Cam Atkinson, who has not even played this year for Philadelphia, is now out for the rest of the season because he had neck surgery.
Buddy.
So I hope he's okay for next year. He was the one guy that was super psyched that Tortorella was coming to Philly because he played for him in
really was.
in Columbus, but he has had a neck injury all year, and they have just decided to do surgery to fix it, so he's out for the rest of the year. Andrew Hammond retired.
The Hamburglar.
I didn't know where to mention this because he's played for a team in, I think, every division, maybe, or close to that. The last team he played for was the Devils, so I figured I'd just put him in the Metro.
So it was the injury that he sustained while on Montreal last year.
That put him out.
Yeah.
He did get traded to the Devils.
He got
though. That's
traded
so
to
weird.
the Devils. Yes. I think it didn't seem as,
As bad at the
bad.
time. Well, Andrew Hammond, who
that
is
run in 2015 for Ottawa?
yes, who is famous for that run in 2015 where he went 21-2 and dragged Ottawa to the playoffs and didn't do anything else for the rest of his career. But everybody will remember it because it was amazing.
Again, they gave him burgers from McDonald's.
The Hamburglar. So right off into the sunset.
Ottawa will always have 2015.
You have that legendary run. People will not forget it for a while. So, if ever. Igor Chinakhov, I think that's how you say that. He plays for Columbus. He is out 6 weeks with an ankle injury. Cal Clutterbuck has been put on IR retroactively
That
to
stinks.
a week or two ago. Oh, yeah, I'm so sad.
I mean, he is the NHL all-time hit leader
He's also a
because they
dirtbag.
only started tracking that hit in 2005. That's a vacuum, I
One
think.
of my neighbors is vacuuming.
Yep.
Cole Sillinger for Columbus is also headed to the IR with an upper body injury. Like I mentioned, Columbus is just getting destroyed by injuries, but a little silver lining.
Riddled.
They have activated Boquist and Corpusalo from
for
the
them.
IR. So those guys are back. But they're still missing, like,
Half
I
their
think
team.
Merzlikins is injured. Werenski is injured. Like, there's so many guys out for them right now. It's one of the major reasons why they're as bad as they are. Not that they would be a playoff team if all those guys were playing, but they would at least be better.
Yeah.
And Nathan Bastian for the Devils is also headed to IR.
Well, that's a shame.
Yeah, that's a shame too. That one was weird because I think it was retroactive to November 27th.
Wow, that's like a month.
So I don't know what that was about. I don't know if they were just like, oh, he doesn't have to go to IR.
It's week to week.
It's week to week, and then they were just like, no, you need
You're
to go
IR,
to you need to go to IR. Well, that's the Metro, and that's my teams.
Talk about the Atlantic.
You almost said the Pacific.
I
saw
did.
it. I saw it.
Shut up. Starting with alphabetical order,
Yay!
or worst to first to worst, first to worst. It's not. It's alphabetical. It's Boston,
Boston.
who is 3-0 this week.
Yeah, of course they are.
They are 27, 4 and 2.
What losers they lost for in regulation
Yeah, but not this week.
this whole season.
They started the week by
we
stomping.
can look at those standings again.
They're stomping
after,
Florida
Yeah.
7-3, beating Winnipeg 3-2, and then beating the Devils 4-3. Talked about all those games.
Really looking forward to that New Year's Eve or what's it called? It's not a stadium series. It's a outdoor game.
No, it is a stadium series
Is it a
because they're in
stadium series
Fenway.
game? Yeah, I know, but there's the
No,
stadium series
it's the
games
Heritage
and the
Classic.
Winter Classic. That's
Winter
what it
Classic.
is. Winter Classic.
It's
They have so many of those. They're all the same thing. They're played outdoors in a football stadium or a baseball stadium.
they brought up the mock-up.
Yes.
It looks so bad
Well, what are you
for
gonna
the
do?
fans. For the fans at
Oh,
the
yeah, they're-
game. It
well,
looks so far away.
I did go to a stadium series game once in Pittsburgh at Heinz Field. It was Pittsburgh and Philly,
Right.
and you were really far away. From
You're
the ice.
really
It was
far
really
away.
hard to tell what was
But
happening.
apparently, so I was So I was reading a bunch of other like comments about it. So someone went to a different stadium series at baseball,
Yeah.
but the jumbotron was really good. So they ended up watching
okay.
like half of it on the jumbotron and half of it on the.
I mean, I remember
rink.
enjoying myself, but I was also
they
frozen to my seat.
They still mic up the rink really well, so you still like
you
hear
still
the
hear it,
sounds even in the stadium. So
Yeah.
that
Maybe it won't be as bad as it might appear. Baseball doesn't usually have. Well, they have jumbotrons. I
Yeah,
don't
they
know
do.
about Fenway.
They
Does
do.
Fenway have a jumbotron?
yeah, they do.
Okay.
And right field, because that's
Okay.
not
I've
where
never
the
been to
monster
Fenway.
is.
Yeah.
They have a big one actually.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Hey. They're blessed. I'm sorry, I interrupted you talking about Boston.
3 for 9 on the power play.
But 'tis the season for outdoor games.
It
coming
is.
up, yeah.
They were 2 for 4 on the power play against Florida. Pasternak and Bergeron are their top players because they both had 5 points in those 3 games. Pasta had 4 goals and an assist. And then Bergeron had 3 goals and 2 assists.
God, he's gonna be back next year.
Yeah, he is.
Go away.
Pasternak is scoring a lot of goals this year.
Yeah.
And he was asked about it. He's just like, of course, Krejci won't shoot, so I gotta.
Both from the Czech Republic.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
They're on the Czech line with Zaka.
The
Yeah.
Czech line.
Czech line.
I always like when they have when people think of fun names
Yeah.
for lines.
You mean the perfection line?
God, that one is like eye rolling.
Yeah,
But like one there, I mean, obviously I'm been a fan of the Penguins for a very long time, but there was a line they had in one of the, I think 09, 08, 09 maybe, but it was called Two Commies and a Yinzer because it was Evgeny Malkin, Peter Sikora, who are both Russian,
yeah.
and then Ryan Malone, who's from Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Nick Foligno had a goal and assist in the Winnipeg game, in the Winnipeg win, and Pasta had 2 goals in the New Jersey win. I want to say Linus Allmark is 19-1-1 on the season. He has
Shut up.
more wins than all but 6 teams.
Shut up, Linus Allmark. Your name's Linus. Shut up, Boston.
It's a shame because he came from Buffalo, so Buffalo could
Yeah.
really use him.
Yeah, but he's playing behind him much better defense
He
than
is
Boston.
also like he wanted term and
Right, yeah.
term and money, and what we've talked
And
about.
they were
is,
like, no, we'll just sign Craig Anderson.
no, goalies are streaky.
That's true.
That's
true.
what it
That's
was.
True.
All right. Speaking of Buffalo, they're up next.
Buffalo.
Buffalo 1-0 this week.
Oh, right. I
Yes.
forgot about that. Yeah.
So the Northeast got slammed by a
it
winter
was,
storm.
yeah.
Buffalo had 4 feet of snow.
Yes, they did. Lake effect.
So their Tampa Bay game on the 23rd got postponed until March, I believe. So they went 1-0 this week and beating Vegas.
Yay.
Yeah. 3-2. Lawrence Pilot, 1 goal and an assist
All right.
in that game.
Good-
So he's their top
good
player.
job, Lawrence.
Yeah. They are 16, 14, and 2 on the season.
Exactly 500.
Exactly 500. Detroit is up next. 1-0-1 on the week, 14-11-7 on the season. Berg talked about their overtime loss to Washington, where Ville Husso saved 38-42 shots.
Poor man.
And poor man.
I didn't look at who the goalie was for Washington, but you only faced 19 shots.
It was Lindholm.
Was it?
It was Charles Lindholm because
Charles Lindholm.
Kemper's injured.
So
it's only been Lindholm.
Oh, Lindgren.
Thank you, Charles Lindgren.
Yeah. Charlie Lindgren.
Chucky Lindgren.
Chaz Lindgren.
Thank you. Sorry.
No, the first time you said it, I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait, no, that's not right.
And saying it, I'm just like, I'm not right, but I'm close enough. He'll
It's
fix it.
Roberto Lugano.
He'll fix my mistake.
As he always does.
Yep.
Charles.
Then it is Charles.
What are you, his mother?
What's
Charles Lindgren. Charles Stacy Lindgren. You lit up 3 goals on 19 shots.
It's on his card. It's on his card.
He's called Charlie all the time.
He gets called Chuck a lot too.
That's because he's a chuckle fuck.
All right. Then they stomped Tampa Bay.
Wow, really?
7-4.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a lot of goals to give up for Tampa.
It is. They were perfect on the penalty kill this week. 1 for 5, 7 for 7. I only say that because I forgot to write down the totals, so I'm doing the math in my head. And Rasmussen had 2 goals and 2 assists.
Michael?
I don't know.
I think it's Michael Rasmussen.
That's why I didn't say it.
I think it is.
Rasmussen had 2 goals and 3 assists on the week, so he's their top player. They did have a game postponed against Ottawa to the end of February.
How crazy would it be if his name was Miguel Rasmussen?
It's not.
I know it's not.
I know that.
How crazy would it be if he was like, if like one of his parents was from Sweden and the other one was from like Mexico,
Spain,
and they named him Miguel, but they kept the last name Rasmussen. Be awesome. One day,
fantastic.
One day, that's what the world will be.
So yeah, that's all I got for them. Florida's up next, 0-3.
God damn, Florida.
They're not doing great.
Remember how you like won the Eastern Conference
And the
last
President's
year?
Trophy.
And the President's Trophy
Yeah.
and shit.
They thought about it. 15, 16, and 4.
Maybe they really did need Johnny Huberdeau.
Maybe they did, because Huberdeau.
He was their passer. He
Well-
was like a playmaker.
Now, Kachuk is playing very well.
That's true. That is true.
Kachuk is playing very well.
Maybe they needed Mackenzie Weegar.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Then they lost to Boston. Like we've talked about all these games. So a 3-7 loss to Boston, a 2-4 loss to the Devils, where Kachuk got a goal but was a punk ass bitch at the end of that game.
As the Kachuk boys usually are.
No, Brady's cool.
Yeah, you know what?
Brady's
You're right.
cool.
Brady's not that bad.
Matt sucks.
Matt takes after his father.
Yes. Well, because remember last week where Hersher hurt Barkov?
Oh yeah, that's right.
So he had a target on his back for the rest of the game, which, fair, whatever.
He didn't do it on purpose, but yes.
That happens. Chuck jumped him at the end of the game.
Kachuk.
Chuck. He jumped him at the end of the game.
Shameful.
A week later, in a loss. So, punk ass.
Yeah, that's some punk ass bitch behavior right there.
And then they kept up their losing record by losing to the Islanders 1-5.
Yeah.
They don't get a top player.
They didn't have a Merry Christmas.
They didn't. They're not gonna.
They got Cole.
Bobrovsky's not playing all that great,
Shocking.
right? And Spencer Knight had a bad game against Boston, but
$10 million for Bobrovsky.
you're off the case.
Barf.
He just sounds like that perfect like movie cop
You're
name.
off the case, Bobrovsky.
Give me your badge and gun.
He's played by damn it, who's the guy that was in Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Oh man,
You know who I'm talking about?
I know exactly
He's
who
played
you're
by
talking-
him. Oh, he was Mario in the Mario Brothers movie too.
Mm-hmm. He was drunk in that movie.
Yes, he was.
Yes.
Because it was really bad.
Mm-hmm. And he knew it.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit's really good though.
It's such a good
I love
movie.
that movie. Anyway, you guys know who I'm talking about.
We're talking about
I'll
Montreal
think of his
next.
name like while I'm trying to go to bed.
Talking about Montreal right now. 1-1-1 this week. 15-15-3. They were
That's much better than anybody thought they were going to
so
do.
much better. They were away all 3 games, and they were all against the Central. So Bird talked about all of them with a 3-2 overtime win, a 1-2 overtime loss, and a 2-4 loss, where they blew a 2-goal lead.
Bob Hoskins
Against-
is that guy's name.
There
I
it
just
is.
remembered
Yeah.
it. I was like, I know
Perfect.
his first name is Bob.
Where they blew a 2-goal lead against Dallas. They don't get a top player. They were also 5 for 90 on the penalty kill.
Yikes.
Yep.
Bob Hoskins also sounds like it could be a hockey player name.
It's 100%.
Hoskins, yeah.
It's 100% a hockey player.
Oh,
name.
Bobby Hoskins,
He
like from the
plays-
70s.
He plays defense. He's
Yeah.
hard nosed.
He's a goon.
He always throws the elbow out.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like a goon from the 70s or 80s.
Um,
R.I.P.
I-
He did pass away.
I know.
He was a good actor,
Yes, he was.
except in the Mario Brothers movie, but it wasn't his fault.
No, I mean
That was not his
It
fault.
was the alcohol.
He did that movie because his son told him to.
Oh.
It was one of those. And then he was like, oh, God.
Oh, God.
What have I done?
Ottawa.
Yep.
2-1 this week. Not doing great.
Man, you're supposed to be better this year, Ottawa.
Supposed to be. 14, 16, and 3.
Don't worry, Ryan Reynolds will come in and
save the day.
save the day. Deadpool's coming in.
He might.
The NHL really wants him to be part of the ownership group, regardless of who the rest of the ownership is.
I really forgot I talked about Detroit already. All right. Bert has talked about all of these games so far.
Have I?
Yes, because it was a 2-4 loss against Minnesota, a
yes.
1-5 against Winnipeg, and
that's
then
true.
a 2-3 overtime loss against Washington.
Oh, my God, I did.
And then their last game was postponed against Detroit.
That was a hell of a blizzard. We didn't get much of it. We just got cold.
And a little bit of rain. No.
We got quite a bit of rain.
Yeah, but that was before the cold.
It was before it got cold, though.
I don't have much to say about Ottawa. They don't have a top player.
Yeah, that's kind of a booty week for them.
I mean, Batherson blew the defensive coverage for the Washington overtime.
Drake.
He scored a goal in that game, but then he blew the coverage. So,
Shame.
Talbot can only do so much.
It's not that much.
It was not against Winnipeg. It was a good effort against Washington.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh, he did have a crazy save against Washington.
Didn't win the game.
No, but sent it to overtime. And that's all you can ask from him.
That was it was Washington and Pittsburgh in the playoffs several years ago. But one of the Washington players made a crazy save in overtime.
It was Beagle. We talked about this
Was it
last
Beagle?
week.
Did we really?
Yes, we did. Because we talked about Bonino.
I don't remember shit that we talked about.
Who?
Bonino.
Shaved?
He looks terrible. He should have his...
He shaved his head, he shaved his beard, and he's also from Hartford, Connecticut.
Is he really?
Yes!
Oh, my God.
Because I saw him without his facial hair.
I don't remember talking about this, so I'm going to mention it again. Jay Beagle made that crazy save in overtime, and then less than a minute later, Nick Bonino killed the Capitals.
Yeah,
So
in my soul.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind you of
that's
that.
Fair.
Anyway,
it hurt my roommate way more. All right.
I was watching that game with my friends. I remember because I think Pittsburgh was up 3-0 in that game.
Yeah.
And they blew that lead.
Yep.
And it went into overtime. And then Nick Bonino scored. And I was like, oh my God, please don't be goaltender interference.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was like right around
it was
the net.
Close,
It was close. Just reminding Clay of his heartbreak.
Oh,
from
yeah,
the
no,
past.
I know. I felt so bad for my roommate. He was way more into the Capitals than I am. He's one of those, like...
This just in. One of the hosts of Buzz Pucks is not even into his own team that much.
He was a Capitals fan since a child. He got me into the Capitals. So, like, his heartbreak was, like, felt so bad. All right. Tampa Bay. Should also feel bad because they were 0-2 this week.
Bummer.
A 1-4 loss against Toronto. And then that 4-7 loss against Detroit.
We would have won the game against Buffalo.
Who knows?
I can hear Tampa fans saying now.
They can say it, but
We would have beat Buffalo.
With how they're playing,
Yeah, not a good week.
Colton had a goal and an assist in the Detroit game, but they don't get a top player this week. They are 20-11-1.
Their record is still pretty good, but
Yes.
you can absorb a not good week when you're playing pretty well otherwise.
They're third in the division.
And even you can absorb a couple of bad weeks if you're playing good otherwise. I mean, look at like the Penguins. They lost 7 games in a row at one point,
right.
And they're now third in the division, I believe.
Yeah.
So
if not, they're close to second.
they're close. I believe
they're
third,
knocking on
though.
the door.
They're close though.
All right, we're gonna finish up with Toronto, who was 2-0 this week.
Hey,
With that 4-1 win against Tampa. They did outshoot Tampa 38-19 in that game.
Damn.
Toronto dominated them.
double down.
It wasn't even close at all. Bunting had a goal in that game, and then Bert talked about this game already in the 4-3 win against Philly.
They really tried to lose that
They
game.
really,
they really tried to allow Philly to tie that
They
game.
really tried to lose it.
But they held on.
Where Nylander had a goal and 2 assists. And Nylander is their top player because in those 2 games, he had 2 goals and 3 assists. All right. That's the games. We'll talk about the news. Owen Power is still out for Buffalo. He missed all of last week. And then also Bryson is on the IR for a lower body.
Ooh, that's 2 of their top 4 defensemen out.
That is.
No good.
Aaron Ekblad is questionable going forward for Florida with a upper body as well.
Man, his career has just been wrecked by injuries.
He also is like last year. All right, sorry. He's not playing to the same abilities as he did last year. He is like
he did have a pretty good year last year.
He's on pace for like half the points he scored last year. It's a real step back.
Yeah. Mrs. Mackenzie Weegar.
He really does.
I think he was his defensive partner.
Well, also, like, they have Radko Gudas is out with concussion and has been for a month. They have, like, 2 or 3 guys on defense out with concussions right now. So who knows when they'll come back.
Yeah.
So
I wish them speedy recoveries.
Yeah, their defense has been kind of gutted right now, which is why...
Makes a lot of sense why they're playing as bad as they are.
Why their goalies are struggling as much as they are.
Yeah.
For Ottawa... They had 3 players leave the game with upper body injuries against Washington.
Oh, my God.
All against Washington is Sanderson, Cartier, and Mott. All day today, currently.
Well, at least it's day to day, I guess. So,
Brandstrom is day to day with a leg injury. He missed that Washington game, and Watson got fined the maximum amount for interference against Detroit earlier in the week.
That's weird.
Actually, the Detroit game was last week.
A fine for interference is odd to me. But he must have.
It must have been egregious.
He must have just pushed someone over.
Yeah. So that was the Sunday game against Detroit last week. So the fine came out Monday.
Gotcha.
Or Saturday into Sunday. That's what it was because we didn't do Sunday.
No, we did not.
For Montreal, Matherson is currently out indefinitely with a lower body injury.
I feel so bad for him.
That was an injury that happened at the end of the week, so that's why it's currently
he like got injured earlier in the season too, where he was out for several weeks, and then he came back. And he'd been playing okay for Montreal.
Yeah, he has been.
And then he's injured again. That sucks.
It
doubly sucks because he played so well for Pittsburgh last year, and then they traded him to Montreal, and it's like, ugh.
Well, it's such a recent injury that's why it's indefinitely.
Gotcha.
So next week
they just don't know enough
yet.
Yeah. I'm sure he's seeing doctors.
Yeah. So Tampa Bay, Sergachev. The only news is Sergachev got fined $5,000 for slashing Michael Bunting in their loss against Toronto. It
that really hurts him.
Egregious.
Was it? Really?
Oh my God!
I think it's really funny in hockey. There's these players. A lot of these players are making like multiple millions of dollars a year, and they're like, their max fine is $5,000.
I understand why the player association will never want it to be higher.
Dude, the NFL needs to call the NHL Players Association because they have so much of a better hold on what's happening.
The NFL is like one of the weakest.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
No, the players' union is one of the weaker unions.
Yeah, but they have ironclad contracts at the very least. The NFL doesn't.
Oh, no, sorry. NFL is the weaker.
Oh, okay.
Players
That's what I thought.
The NFL is the weaker players. But,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. They should call the NHL.
But they can.
Or the NBA. The NBA seems to have a pretty strong players association. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think fines should be on a sliding scale based on the contract.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
That because Sergachev is on a pretty good contract.
Yeah,
so it should be like
he's making at least $7 million a year.
Like the max for him should be higher than the max for like
a guy making vet min or
an entry level.
Or entry level, yeah.
And it should be like a 2% fine.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because that's $5,000 hurts a guy on entry level.
Sure.
It
doesn't hurt Sergachev. He's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I'll slash him in the calves again.
And sometimes with these fines, the team just pays it.
Right.
You know, especially if it's something that's like kind of ticky tacky, the team will be like, no, we'll just do that.
This wasn't ticky tacky.
That's fair enough.
Bunting was skating away, and Sergachev
just, like,
gets him in the
teed
calf.
off on him.
Yeah. And then for Toronto injury, Rasmus Sandin.
Michael Bunting's leg was chopped off.
In a crazy incident in that game, a linesman tried to push him out of the.
Oh yeah, I did see a video of
Yeah.
that. It was
He's just
just
like,
like, get
what?
off the ice.
He was like, "What the fuck? Get off me!" And
He
tried.
pushed him like really hard.
And
yeah,
Bunting refused to like leave the ring.
so weird.
And then when the linesman,
that ref should be not a ref anymore.
well, he used to be a goon.
I know. I saw all the links about him.
But
Why? Don't hire the goons to be the refs.
for
Oh, the
the ref-
NHL should just gut all of their refs,
Well,
in my opinion, and just hire people that just call the game.
no, they're looking for those guys because they're looking for guys who can skate.
I get it, but call the penalties.
They're looking for guys who can skate, so they're putting like goons on the or former goons on the ice.
There's some nerds who can skate.
And then they're just like, "We'll teach you the rules later."
Put Paul Correa ahead of the. He should be ahead of the punishment, whatever.
I agree. It shouldn't be Paris, but whatever.
Should not be Peros.
Sandin is on the IR with a neck injury,
That's
which
horrible.
happened during the Tampa Bay game. And that play was innocent. Like, I couldn't
That
find
was just
anything on
that
that.
was just a bad incident.
But this is like the third neck injury that Toronto has had this year, with Muzzin being out for the year with a. He might not even play again.
Yeah.
So,
Ooh, necks are no good to play with. Yeah.
all right, so that's what I got. I'm done.
I just want to backtrack really quick because I forgot to mention John Carlson is out for who knows how long because he took a shot to the face, like straight on from Dylan. Yeah, his old teammate. Dylan clearly felt very bad about it.
Oh,
He didn't do it on purpose.
No.
It was just like a weird rising shot that went right into Carlson's face.
So much blood
and there was a
immediately.
lot of blood on the ice. So I hope John Carlson is okay.
He left the hospital on Saturday.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So he might have a broken cheekbone.
I think he's in concussion protocol.
Oh, certainly that.
Yeah.
So hopefully he's okay. I hope.
Let's look at the standings. So we
Oh
can get
yeah,
out of
let's
here.
look at the I remembered that when you started talking about your injuries. Let's look at the standings really quick, so I can give my dog her medication. Let's start with the Metro, just because they're first. Carolina sitting atop the Metropolitan Division now with 50 points.
They're 2 wins in hand. Like, they have 2 wins. 3? Math?
What
2.
are you talking about?
So, 2 points for a win.
Oh, the ROW?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they have 50 points. Jersey has 6. 46, you get 2.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see what you mean. I'm sorry. Yes, I see what you mean. Yes. They are 4 points up on New Jersey right now, who has 46 points. Pittsburgh right behind them with 43, with a game in hand on both of those teams
That's
right
a
now.
fall from New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey had a really large lead at a certain point
Like,
a few weeks ago, but
past
they
2 weeks have sucked for
I
them.
haven't looked. Oh, let's just look. In their last 10 games, they're 3-6-1.
Yeah.
And Carolina in the same stretch of 10 games is 9-0-1.
Yeah, that'll catch up.
And then you look at Pittsburgh, who's 8-1-1
Yeah.
in their last 10 games. And so New Jersey's in trouble.
Yep.
And even past that, the Rangers are in fourth with also 43 points, but Pittsburgh has 2 games in hand. That's why they're in third place currently. But the Rangers are 8-2 in their last 10 games. New Jersey's in trouble right now.
If they keep pplaying like this,
They need to come out hot out of
because look at Washington in 5th,
Yeah, Washington in 5th right now, 42 points. Now
9-1.
they are 9-1 in their last 10 games. New Jersey does have a couple games in hand. Has 1 game in hand on the Rangers, 2 on Washington, but it doesn't matter if you're going to lose those games.
Right.
And then behind Washington is the Islanders, who aren't doing bad either at 40 points.
But I didn't
their
realize-
last 10, they're not as great, but
I didn't realize Washington passed the Islanders.
yeah, Washington's right there. They're only 1 point behind both Pittsburgh and the Rangers. And then there is a stark drop-off from the Islanders to the Flyers.
But Pittsburgh does have 3 games in hand on
Pittsburgh
Washington.
has a bunch of Pittsburgh has games in hand on everybody in the division except for Columbus, which is odd. I didn't even realize that. So the Islanders are in 6th place in the division right now with 40 points. And then a big drop from the Islanders to the Flyers, who have 29 points.
Oh, my God.
And then Columbus, who has 22. Columbus, at least, you can say, as we've mentioned a couple of times, is riddled with injuries.
Riddled.
I think they should be better than Philadelphia if they were healthy, but who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Let's move on to the Atlantic Division, where the Boston Bruins are reigning atop the entire league with 56 points.
But so we have Boston at 56 points, Toronto with 48.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Tampa with 41. And then between 4th place and 8th place, there is a 4-point difference.
Oh, you're right. Whoa.
They are.
So Ottawa's not even
murdering
really
each
that far
other.
out of it at this point.
They are not. They are 4 points behind
sorry.
Detroit with 31 points, and Detroit has 35. Buffalo has 34. Detroit and Buffalo only have 32 games played. You can blame the Blizzard for some of it.
Yeah, for at least two of those at least a few of those games, yeah.
But Florida is in 6th with 34 points. Buffalo and Detroit have 3 games in hand on them.
Oh, yeah.
That's not good for Florida. Montreal has a game in hand, and they're only 1 point behind.
Florida, that is.
1 point behind
and
Florida.
Buffalo, yeah.
And then, but Buffalo has 2 games in hand on them, so on Montreal.
That's true. Yeah.
So, but Florida's in 6th, Montreal's in 7th with a game in hand and only 1 point behind Florida, and then Ottawa has two games in hand on Florida with 31 points. So they could tie.
They could eclipse Florida
if
they
Florida.
win those 2 games. That's crazy. Florida could be in last place.
Yeah.
That's nuts. I didn't realize how close the
Atlantic
between 4th and 8th was in the Atlantic right now.
They are fighting for that spot.
Well, it's like, if you look at the Metro, between 2nd and 6th is only 6 points.
Right.
And between 3rd and 6th is only 3 points. So
yeah. This is getting brutal.
The East is getting... You know what? Let's look at the wild card really quick, too, just because I'm interested. The Metro holds both wild card spots right now.
And the first spot out.
And the first spot out. Obviously, as I already mentioned, the Rangers and the Capitals hold both wild card spots right now, with the Islanders right behind the Capitals, and and then Detroit is 5 points behind the Islanders.
But they are 3 games in hand.
That is also true.
4 games in hand.
4 games in hand on Washington, so they could be theoretically ahead of Washington.
Same with Buffalo.
And they could be. That's 3 games in hand on the Rangers. Okay, no, they wouldn't catch the Rangers. But, so it's going to be interesting heading into it's more or less the second half of the season once we hit January. The East is a bit tight when it comes to the wild cards and 3rd place in the Metro. Well, let's look at the West really quick. Minnesota and Calgary have the 2 wild card spots currently, but Edmonton is 1 point behind Calgary.
And they're both... And Calgary is 1 point behind Seattle in 3rd, and Edmonton is 2 points behind Seattle for 3rd.
That's true. So that 3rd place, and even the 2nd place is up for grabs in the Pacific as well, because Los Angeles has played 37 games.
Right.
So that's 2 games in hand for Calgary and Edmonton, 5 games in hand for Seattle. Seattle could be 6 points ahead of LA if they played the same amount of games.
Right.
I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but when we talk about games in hand, I just assume they're going to be wins.
Yeah, until they're not.
Until they're not. So Calgary and Edmonton each have 2 on LA, so they could both... they wouldn't be ahead of LA. They would be right behind them, though.
Right.
Some interesting stuff. It's getting close. It's getting close. The hatred is starting to build, as we like to see. Go away. But thank you guys for listening. As always, we really appreciate it. For anybody that always sticks with us every week, you can find us wherever podcasts can be found. Give us a like, rate, a review, subscribe, wherever applicable.
Please.
Please. Apparently it helps. I don't know. Or not. If you're listening, that's all that matters to me. But we'll see you next week for week 12 of the NHL season. And I guess... it won't be the Winter Classic yet, but we'll be 1 game away from it. or one day away, or it'll be the same day. Whatever. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.